So I thought I'd do something a little different and kind of show what it takes to draw and fabricate stuff with a 3D printer today. I'm not going to go into details about how to use the app. I'm just going to kind of show what the process is like. I need to get this piece of equipment into a 3D drawing. I'll be basically using a caliper to get kind of exact measurements and transfer those measurements onto the 3D app. And then I transfer the characteristics of this plate. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just basically need the square, but its exact measurements. And then I use that to inform the design of whatever I'm trying to make. And in this case, what I'm trying to make is something that will wrap around a 4x4 post that it's kind of basically, I'm just looking to make rounded edges around a 4x4 post and then leave a spot. This is going to end up being a flat edge for this Lagun table mount to mount to. So I'm going to keep modifying this, but what you see here is kind of a template I printed. And I do this a lot just to kind of see how things are going to fit. So I went outside to the 4x4 that I have in the garage. I printed this tiny template and I extruded or just removed as much plastic as possible because this is just a test. I just want to print this out and see how things are looking. Now that I've tested that, I can go ahead and take out the plastic I had removed and start working with this shape. And so far the shape's working out, but what I need to do now is I kind of want this shape to be, approximately this with a cap on it, and then a flat surface for the plate of the Lagun, the mounting bracket of the Lagun table. I'd like to draw the Lagun table in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so the first measurement I see is that 11.5 millimeters down is the first screw hole. I see that the bottom of the screw hole, these screw holes are basically 8 millimeters. The width of the plate is 91.75 millimeters. So now I've got a plate that goes from here to somewhere down here, and we're going to measure all that in just a second. The top of the next hole is 132 millimeters. We know we have another 8 millimeter hole. So in theory, we have a plate that goes from here to here. The thickest point of the plate is 13 millimeters. And that's the track in the middle all the way to the back. Another thing I can capture are the center of the holes. So they are 12.5 millimeters over. All right, so what you see here is I now have effectively the center of the holes for the plate. So I've measured the height or the depth of the plate, depending on how you're looking at it, and it's 13 millimeters to the center part of this track. I'm gonna go ahead and extrude or pull this up to 13 millimeters, which is the kind of worst case. Again, I could round and make this like the plate, but I don't really need this to be exactly perfect. I just need it to kind of indicate to me what the plate looks like relative to the actual thing I'm building. So now I've pulled up a quick version of the Lagun plate to use as a template over here on the thing I'm making. And now I've moved the template over to my object just to kind of get a sense for how it fits into this sort of thing. So what I see already is that I don't have a big enough face on what I've built thus far to support this Lagun table. So what I've done is I've drawn a line from where I actually need the faceplate to be to cut out this little sliver. And what you'll see here is now it's created an independent piece, and I can remove that extra shaving. And now what I should see is that this front face is just the right size for the Lagun plate. So now we need to know how tall this needs to be to support the Lagun plate before I put a cap on it. So to figure that out, I can easily just use this tool. It tells me that this is 171 millimeters. So what I want to do is create a guide for myself of 171 millimeters, and I'm able to just type that in and it puts a guide here. What's nice about that is I can then just pull this up to that guide. I don't have to figure anything out. I just pull it up that tall, and now I know that this whole thing is 170. So this now, what I've done now is I've created a place for the plate to go. So all I have to worry about now is the fact that I can only print up to 210 millimeters. So I'm going to put a guide for the extent at which I can print. That's as far as I can go. So my cap can only be this tall. And I haven't really designed or decided what I want that cap to look like. I was thinking about just rounding it off. All right, so now I've drawn a cap and it's under my print height. All I did was a rounded top and a little flat surface right here. So this is effectively what our print's going to look like. The idea is that I'm going to cut a 4x4 that fits in this area, and then I'm going to mount the Lagun plate right here. So in theory, I've drawn in some pilot holes. I'm going to go ahead and print a draft of this and put it on a 4x4 and see how it goes. First time we've had sun in a few days. So I'm going to cut the top of a post off right here and then drill some holes here to hold this onto the post. All our holes are ready to assemble everything. So here's what I ended up doing. I drilled down a little bit here to give this some space, and then I hand drilled a hole all the way on this side till it's approximately I don't know, an inch below this, and then put a tree nut in there, which gives this some grip. And now this fits. I'm gonna put this on here. It gets tight. So here's the finished product. There's some things I'd improve, but the plastic is really light and it bolts down really firmly to the base. So we'll see how this does. This is what it looks like in place. All right, so this is the Lagun table installed here. Things are a little tight, but it also lets us use it as a table over here when we're cooking. And we could lift that up another 3 or 4 inches, but gives us a wobbly table in the front section, but mainly a good place to do as a workstation.